what's up? This is Atomic Swift and I'm back with another video. This time I just want to talk about my introduction to file sharing. Peer-to-peer file sharing, stuff like that. Back when I got my first computer, as I stated in a previous video, my first computer was all the way back in 1992, and for my birthday I got a Packard Bell 486 SX 33 megahertz computer with a 2400 BPS modem or some shit like that. It was so slow, but you know, back then, you know, the internet wasn't like it is now. Like, you weren't constantly on the internet, and back then internet charged by the minute. So I would sit there on Prodigy on this computer and I thought it was so awesome. You know, I wouldn't even have wanted to try to download a music file, especially not a movie file. Oh my god, would that shit have taken forever. I mean, I just remember, like, you know, it's not like now where websites have full pictures. It was mostly text. Like, you didn't really see a ton of pictures. You didn't see changing banner ads, stuff like that. So I didn't really get into, like, downloading stuff. Like, I knew, like, how to download pictures off the internet. And, you know, I couldn't download any of the good ones, like porn or whatever, because, like, as I said in my previous video also, my computer was actually in my living room. And, you know, my dad and my stepmom would be sitting, like, you know, 10, 20 feet away on the couch watching TV while I'm back here on a computer, so I couldn't go download porn. Porn is so much more accessible today. We didn't have that back then. Like, I'm not going to sit there and download porn and my dad and my stepmom are here, and then, you know, they get up to use the, you know, get something from the fridge or go use the bathroom, and they walk right by me, and I'm sitting right there. And a picture, oh my god, it would take, so you would click the picture, right, and it would load like this. I mean, it would take forever just to get a picture on the screen, and then you have to right click and save. It was just so much. So, like, I didn't know anything about, you know, like MIRC. I can't remember. Shit, who even knows if MIRC was, you know, even on the, you know, like that. But that's how people were originally sharing pirated stuff, was on BBS and shit like that. I never got into that because, you know, my modem was so slow, and I wasn't really into the internet back then. Because, like I said, when my dad would log, I didn't know the username and password, so I'd have to say, "Hey, Dad, you know, can I get on the internet?" He'd type the username and password in, and then, you know, I could get on the internet. But he'd be right there, you know, monitoring how long I was on there, because they charge by the minute. It's not like now where, you know, I have 300 meg internet from Cox and I could just sit on there all day, you know, downloading just massive amounts of shit. You could not do that. That would, you know, your bill would be insane. So, I remember I really first started getting into downloading stuff. What was I? Shit, I don't remember, 14 or 15, when I got my grandfather for my birthday got me a Packard Bell 233 megahertz Pentium tower PC, multimedia PC. And, you know, that actually had a 56K V.92 modem. So, you know, that was quite a bit faster than the 2400 BPS. So that, you know, that's when I, you know, could download pictures quickly. You could do all kinds of stuff, you know, much quicker on the internet. Of course, like I said before, websites didn't look like they do now with banner ads and flash. Even with the 56K modem, it was still mostly text. Like, if you go to the internet now and type, like, you know, like, I want to say like oldschool.net or one of those websites where you can look how web pages used to look, they were shit. You know, because even 56K for its time was fast for loading pictures and shit like that. I mean, you would still, you know, just a little faster, well, quite a bit faster than the 2400 BPS modem, but it would still take a while to load a picture. So, you know, BBSs, I'm sure, were still around. Maybe MIRC was around by then. Oh, actually it was, because I remember using MIRC, I believe, in the, mid to late 90s. And I downloaded, like, songs from there, and God, you'd have to have a direct connection with the person, and you could browse their shit, and like a song would take like 20 minutes. Oh God, it was ridiculous. And if the guy got offline, the song would, you know, the download would cut off, and then you'd have to start over and download the, you know, the file from a different person. It's just a pain in the ass. And then there was one app that just changed everything. Okay, now, I don't know if you can see the logo. This is the app that changed everything. when it came to file sharing. Now, if you're young and you don't know, well, you might know what this is, because now this is a paid service. This is pretty much the granddaddy of all file sharing programs, created in 1999 by Shawn Fanning. This was Napster. And God, I don't even remember how I stumbled upon Napster. I remember back then, like, for a while my dad was paying for dial-up internet, and then after, I think it was like 15, 20 bucks a month or something like that. And you could go to Kmart, or you could download Net Zero, which was a free internet where you could be on the internet, but it would put a stupid fucking banner ad at the bottom of your screen while you're sitting there surfing the internet. And it was annoying as fuck because that fucking banner ad, and then some of them you would have, there was one from Kmart called Bluelight, that was another free internet service provider. Those were really big in the late 90s, early 2000s. And basically as a way for you to pay for internet, them giving it to you for free, they would put a fucking ad on the bottom of your screen. Net Zero wasn't too bad. It was still annoying as fuck because you could surf the internet, but like say you left the room and you left something downloading on Napster, and this fucking bar would detect that you hadn't moved your mouse and hadn't been doing shit. Net Zero would fucking disconnect you for being idle. So it was a pain in the ass because even with Napster, you're downloading person to person, and the fastest modem at the time, I mean, besides, like, if you lived in a university or something, and you had, like, access to a T1 or a T3 line, was 56K. That's what most people in their houses had. So one song would take 20 minutes, if not longer, depending on the bit rate, file size, all that shit. And I remember you'd go to download a song, and guy would get off before it was done because you're downloading from one person at a time, basically direct, kind of like MIRC, but you actually had a full search engine where you could search inside Napster. You could type Eminem, The Real Slim Shady, and it would pop up with all these people that are sharing that one in particular song. There was no downloading entire albums. That's what now when it comes to file sharing, kids these days, if you use file sharing like any of the newer ones, which I'll mention later in the video, you could download entire albums now. Napster, we had to go old school, so we had to download track by track. Like I said, each track, 20 minutes. But it was still cool because you had any music you could think of at your fingertips. It was the greatest in the world. And so anyway, so I started downloading with Napster. Like I said, I got off track there, sorry. Blabbing about my stories. But anyway, so like I said, the late 90s, early 2000s, there were lots of free internet services you could get. Bluelight was the most annoying one. That was a free disc up by the checkouts at fucking Kmart. And it would put you'd log in. It was free internet. And they started limiting you to, like, I want to say it was like 20 hours a month, 30, 40 hours a month. And then you had a bar at the bottom of your screen, just like Net Zero, advertising bar. That's how they're paying for the internet, to give it to you for free. And the most annoying thing about Bluelight that made it worse than Net Zero, worse than most of all the fucking other ones, was you'd be sitting there surfing the internet, and then all of a sudden it would show a fucking commercial. It would full screen a fucking Kmart commercial or one of the Bluelight sponsor fucking commercials. Oh, it was annoying as shit. And it was like Net Zero, to where you had to actually be sitting there, and if it didn't detect mouse movement, it would disconnect you from the internet. So I started looking around on the internet, and I found this program. I can't remember what it was called, but you would basically launch Bluelight and act like you're opening up a new Bluelight account. And you run this program before you do that, and when it goes to connect to the sign-up server, it would show you the sign-up server username, the sign-up user password. So you could enter that into your network and go create a new network, put their phone number in there, use that username, that password. You could sit on that fucking sign-up server for days without ads. It would never disconnect you. My dad let me get a second phone line. I would dial into that fucking Bluelight sign-up server. I'd sit on that motherfucker for days because I had a separate phone line in my bedroom and just download massive amounts of shit off Napster. And Napster was the greatest thing ever. And then, of course, Metallica, mainly Lars Ulrich, went after Napster, went after Shawn Fanning, went after all the guys that started Napster. Napster was just so great. You know, it started out big in the colleges and spread to everybody. You could find any kind of music you wanted. Then Lars Ulrich ruined it, sued Napster into the fucking ground, and they shut Napster down. But it doesn't even matter. You know, I remember when I was growing up, I was like, oh, Lars Ulrich is a bitch. You know, fuck Metallica. I would never pay for Metallica. Download everything fucking Metallica. But you know what? If it wasn't for Lars Ulrich and Metallica, and like I said, it was mainly Lars Ulrich, going after Napster, going after Shawn Fanning, and shutting Napster down, we would not, you know, we would not be as far into the way file sharing is today. The networks are so much better. If you've never used uTorrent, uTorrent is the greatest file sharing thing ever made. You could download entire seasons of TV shows. You could download entire collections of movies. Basically one download, you could download every single fucking Disney movie that was ever made. Every one, peer to peer. Not like Napster, you know, you could resume if somebody got offline, you're downloaded from multiple people at once. But anyway, thank you all, Lars Ulrich, you're a fucking moron, because I can tell you right now, I don't download Metallica shit because I'm not a fan of that music. But people can pirate your shit way better than they ever fucking could when you went after Napster, you dumb motherfucker. And yeah, like I said, they can download it so much easier. They can do one download, click one link on the internet using their, and then open it in uTorrent and download your entire fucking music library, you know, discography, live albums, concert albums, fucking all in one thing, and include your fucking music videos in there. So you're a fucking moron. You got rid of Napster, but the file sharing that came after Napster completely blew Napster out of the water. They took what Napster was and just, you know, made, like, it exploded. It was amazing. The shit you could do with the later file sharing services after Napster. So thank you for shutting Napster down, Lars Ulrich, because when you shut something down, something better always comes in later. And you shutting Napster down, you know, that started a whole wave of shit. Alright, now I just got done talking about Napster, and like I said, Lars Ulrich, Metallica shutting, and you know, a few other artists. It was mainly Lars Ulrich from Metallica shutting down Napster. It gave birth to so many other better file sharing services. The next one on the list, if you're old school file sharing, you know what this fucking logo is. This was Kazaa, Kazaa, whatever you want to call it. Kazaa, I called it Kazaa. It's Kazaa Media Desktop, which was this one of the main successors to Napster. It did everything Napster did and then took it to the next level. It ran on the Fast Track network, which was semi-decentralized, where Napster was centralized, to where when Lars Ulrich and the other artists that banded together and sued Napster, they could click it, shut down the fucking server, it was done. The nice thing about Kazaa is it was sort of decentralized, to where there wasn't just like a home server they could click and then it was done. So through the years they sued Kazaa because Kazaa, it had music like Napster, but then it took everything to the next level, because you could download not just music, you could download movies, you could download TV shows. Napster didn't have any of that. Napster was strictly music and that was it. And remember what I said when I was talking about Napster? One song taking 20 minutes? A fucking movie file could take a day on a 56K modem. But I'm sitting there on the bluelight servers, bluelight sign-in servers, which I said I used before, and I would sit on there all day on my second phone line and just leave that shit downloading a whole list of shit. And the nice thing about Kazaa, Morpheus, Grokster, Aimster, LimeWire, if you were downloading something from somebody, you weren't just downloading from one person, you were downloading from multiple sources. So if one person got offline, it would search the network, the swarm of computers, and find the next person sharing that, continue where that one left off, which was so much better than Napster. Because Napster, you would download a song, get all the way to the end, have like, you know, a tiny bit of the file left, and that fucker would get offline, or, you know, something would happen, you'd have to start all the way over. No longer needed with Kazaa. Kazaa, like I said, it would search a swarm, finish where it left off. Movies, music, TV shows, pictures, oh my god, all kinds of shit right at your fingertips. They eventually got sued. They eventually got put out of business. But for the time, the Fast Track Network in Kazaa was the top. I mean, there was nothing in its day. There was nothing better than Kazaa. Nothing better. You could get everything on there. You could get, like I said, movies, music, pictures, endless amounts of porn, whatever you wanted. You know, I was a teenager, of course. You know, that's what I was. Of course, I was downloading porn off of Kazaa. Like, come on. I can't remember what. So Kazaa started in 2001. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it got shut because it got sued into the ground, just like Napster. It took a lot more time for Kazaa actually to be shut down. But eventually, what the recording industry and the movie industry would do is they would put fake. They would just overload. You know, they would download Kazaa to their computers and put fake files, name them a certain name, so it'd be a fake. So you download a song, you'd start playing it, which is what they started to do at the end of Napster's, before Napster got shut down. And it would be a song, you'd click play, and it'd just be like, you know, so you'd be like, fuck, you know, because I guess they'd want you to get pissed off after downloading so many fake fucking things, after taking so long with the 56K file, you know, 56K modem downloading that file, that I don't know, they assume you'd get pissed off and go buy the album in the store, which I never did. You just keep searching for the next file. It was easy. But yeah, so Kazaa was actually the one where they really started suing individual users. Napster, they started suing college kids that were using T1 and T3 lines, and you know, they were suing them for ridiculous amounts of damages for sharing like one file. They try to sue them for like $5,000, and that really escalated in the days of Kazaa, because Kazaa, Morpheus, and Grokster, Aimster, all those ones is when they really stepped up lawsuits. Jamie Thomas she was sharing, I think, like 17 songs or some shit on Kazaa, and they sued her for, I think it was like $250,000 or something. And this lady, you look at her, she can't pay $250,000. Most people can't pay $250,000. But then people got scared. You know, people eventually moved away from Kazaa, and then, you know, Kazaa got shut down. And then there was the next big file sharing. Well, we'll say download repository. It wasn't. I guess it was kind of like a file sharing. But then we'll talk about the next one I moved on to after Kazaa. Okay, so after Kazaa got sued into the ground, and then, like I said, they started suing users, and people would, you know, moved on to other file sharing things. The next one I got into, I couldn't really find a good picture of the logo, was Usenet groups, which there's some around. I mean, that's not really a big thing like it was, but the one I used was Usenext, and I had CenturyLink. I had upgraded to DSL. I think it was like shortly before. It was quite a bit of time before Kazaa officially got shut down. And Usenet services were people uploaded files and you downloaded them from an actual Usenet service. So you weren't downloading from a peer anymore. So you'd get like insane network speeds because you're downloading directly from your ISPs, newsgroup access, or you're downloading from Usenext. And Usenext, you know, they would give you like, God, I want to say it was like, what I pay, I want to say it was like $20, $30 a month or some shit. But they would give you like 100 gigs of bandwidth to download off these Usenet servers, and you could download, you know, music, full albums in RAR format, which, you know, were easy to decompress. And then, you know, you could download movies, TV shows, PC games, PlayStation fucking game ISOs, Dreamcast ISOs, which was shit that later came on to Kazaa as well. But you could just download them at better speeds from Usenext, and it was great because, you know, you didn't have to worry about people tracking you and suing you like with Kazaa, where people could, you know, these copyright groups could see your IP address. You could just download directly from Usenext, and you didn't have to worry about that. It was super easy. And like I said, Usenext is still a thing today. I haven't used it in years. I used it for a while, and that was before my favorite file sharing program of all time came out. And we'll talk about that now. And now we're on to current days file sharing. And if you don't know what this logo is, this is uTorrent, which is a version of BitTorrent, which was created by Bram Cohen in 2005. I've been on BitTorrent since it started back in 2005. The first time I found something on the internet about uTorrent, I'm like, what the hell is this? Now this is pretty much decentralized is what uTorrent is. So you just go to websites and people will post links of shit they're sharing within uTorrent, BitTorrent, and you just download their magnet link. You can download the torrent link, and it adds it to your uTorrent program, and then you can just download directly from 20, 30, thousands of people all at once from a swarm, and you could get just anything you could possibly think of with uTorrent. So thanks for suing Napster, fucking Lars Ulrich, because like I said, you started a fucking beast, and it moved from Napster to Kazaa to Usenext, which Usenext is still good. Like I said, I haven't used it in a while. It's pretty much the same thing. But Napster is nothing. Napster was nothing compared to what fucking BitTorrent is. uTorrent, BitTorrent, the QTorrent. There's so many different ones, but it's all based on the same BitTorrent architecture created by Bram Cohen. And it is just perfect. Now I'm not going to show you any uTorrent sites on here, but you could just Google them, go to Bing, type torrent links, whatever. And anything under the fucking sun you can think of, there is a torrent file for it. Somebody is sharing it. And the best thing about uTorrent is it technically can never be shut down. Because where Kazaa had a kind of a central server, Napster had a fully central server where they could just sue it, click it off, done. uTorrent runs off of what they call a tracker. So individual websites can set up their own tracker, and as long as you have a tracker and there's people seeding torrents to that tracker, you would have to go through every torrent website in the entire fucking world, sue them all into the fucking ground to get rid of the tracker, and that is the only way you could get rid of BitTorrent and file sharing through BitTorrent. But then another website could open up, they could have a tracker, and then another good thing about that, later on in BitTorrent's life, you didn't even need a tracker. So even if they sued every single tracker into the ground, they have what they call magnet links, and that goes to the actual internet and looks for people sharing shit. It does not even need a tracker, from what I understand. And yeah, there's like you can download torrent files that were on like Demonoid. I don't even think Demonoid's around anymore, but that was a big uTorrent website. People think that the Demonoid guy died. Maybe that's why their website went away. But anyway, and older torrent sites, you find a link, like a magnet link, and you click on it. Even though the website's down, the tracker's been down for years, you can still download from people using that magnet link. So it's basically decentralized and can never be shut down. I mean, it'll just blow your mind. If you go to, like I said, Bing, Google, any search engine, your favorite search engine, type torrents, the shit you can find on uTorrent is just unbelievable. Now, I'm not encouraging piracy. Only download legal torrents. Or if you own a legal copy and you want to download a backup copy, all that stuff. But like I said, anything you can think of. You can download a torrent that includes every single, like I said, Disney movie ever made. Every single Nickelodeon TV show ever created, you can find a torrent for that. And it's all there, sorted episode number by episode number. And, I mean, it's just amazing. Napster was not shit compared to uTorrent. And that's one of the funny things. These copyright holders sue the individual Kazaa, Napster, Grokster, LimeWire, all these, BearShare, there's another classic one that was around the time of Kazaa. They sue all these ones, and new ones keep coming out, getting better and better, more decentralized, and bam, and we're at what we're at now with uTorrent. You can go to Pirate Bay, is the oldest uTorrent site that's still active. They sued that motherfucker into the ground. They claim they moved the servers to a cave and off the coast of Sweden, and then it moved somewhere else, and who knows where it's really at now. That website will never die. That is the probably the most popular public uTorrent site, but you can go to private ones where there's a username and password to log in, and it's not as open like Pirate Bay, where people get sued for downloading shit off of Pirate Bay, or you download viruses. It's better to go to the private sites where you can download stuff where people will put, these files are screened, so people verify that there's no viruses, there's no Trojans, there's no anything. So yeah, that's where we're at. uTorrent, like I said, greatest thing ever. I use uTorrent all the time for legal torrents, of course. Like I said, anything you can think of, PC games, movies, movie trilogies. I mean, it's just endless the shit you can download. You can download the entire PlayStation game collection in ISO format, one fucking file, you know. Shit, I don't even know what it would be. 100 gigs, maybe. I mean, maybe a little, maybe more. But you could download it all in one file from multiple people at once, and it just I mean, the download speeds are like no other file sharing service I've ever seen. The only one that even compares speed-wise is Usenext, because you're downloading off of an actual server. But there's so much shit you can find on uTorrent that I could never find on Usenext. People are constantly putting shit up there. It's the greatest, and that's where we're at. So if you haven't tried BitTorrent, I would go to utorrent.com, the letter U, T-O-R-R-E-N-T. I believe it's .com.org. Just Google uTorrent. Look for this logo. That's fucking uTorrent. Greatest file sharing program ever made so far. I'm sure, you know, with evolution there'll be better ones, but uTorrent is a way to do it. If you've never used file sharing before, you're pretty spoiled now, because you're getting to start off right out of the gate with fucking uTorrent, the best of the best. And yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for my video. Yeah, I guess that's it. So I really hope you enjoyed my video. I know it was another long one. I just wanted to go into the history of my personal history with file sharing programs, what I experienced, you know, what it was like to download files back in the Napster, Kazaa days, all that stuff. And I just, you know, thought maybe people would find it fascinating to know how, you know, a kid, you know, back when I was 15 years old got into file sharing and what it was like to download music. So yeah, so there's my video. I appreciate all the likes, comments, subscribes, everything. I respond to every comment. And yeah, thanks for watching my videos. As always, bye for now.